I'm Shari.
I'm Rachel.
And this is So Tell Me This.
This is not a drill, this is how I feel. Pop champagne, I'ma do it for the thrill. Escape with me, I'm saying that maybe we could take off and then land on a jet ski. Baby, I'll hold you tight, top shelf with it.
I have a surprise for you actually first.
You do?
It's more so for me, but it's for both of us.
Okay.
But it's for me because I like it. So move your bottle.
What?
Right?
Oh, I
Open
love
that
stuff
up,
like this.
right?
There's a surprise in here?
Yeah, open it
You
up.
want me to open it?
Yes. Some drizzle-ish. Because you liked it last time that I gave you some.
Yeah, so is this my bag?
Yeah.
Oh, this
I said
is
I'd give her own bag.
perfect.
Put that thing
Do you
back on.
okay.
You can have it now.
You mind if I have it now?
I don't care. I'm not super hungry because we just ate. But
Well, I just want to taste it. If you haven't had these guys,
it's good.
this is a Rice Krispie treat.
Drizzle-ish. A rice cake
Okay. Rice cake.
with icing on it. It's good.
Birthday cake bites.
And it's good.
It's
We're
not
talking
too
about
bad.
college.
Yeah, we're talking about college. That's why I have on my. I'm repping.
Oh yeah, she
Oakwood
went to
University.
Oakwood. I went to Kennesaw State. We actually low-key talk about college a lot.
Do we?
Because I feel like we'll randomly you have a billion college experiences.
Listen,
I have
honey.
and I feel like yours is more like detailed than mine even. I only went to one and I
Yes.
didn't do a master's. And
Right.
you're getting into school like my getting into school honestly was kind of smooth. Yours was a lot.
Oh, it was a
Mine was
lot.
like doot doot doot.
It sure was. I mean, well, of course, you had to apply, to two colleges, and one you wanted to do dance at, and the other one
I wanted to do dance at both.
both. But you really didn't want the other one that you got
Yeah,
accepted into.
yeah. I'm
But
glad I got
mine was interesting. I guess I'll start. Mine was interesting. I was supposed to go to college for pre-med because I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to be a pediatrician. But here's the thing, and I think a lot of young people struggle with this. I knew I wanted to go to college, but I was not doing what I was supposed to do as far as like filling out my application.
Yeah.
It was as if,
Nobody would guess that.
well, here's the thing, and I tell people sometimes, like, all throughout, whether it be elementary, middle school, and pretty much high school, your schedule is like made for you.
Mm-hmm.
Like K through 8, they just tell you what class you're going to be in.
Yeah.
High school, you're picking your electives. So it's almost like you're trained to just kind of sit back and wait for somebody to do something.
Honestly, low key, I feel like even though they say, "Oh, college readiness and let's get ready for college," they don't really do low key. You can kind of go without knowing anything because it's not that in your. I mean, at least at my school.
They'll make announcements. Like even at my school,
Yeah.
they make announcements. They tell them apply to College Ready Week, and they advertise, they market. But for me, like my high school was huge. My graduating class was like 900 something kids. 3,000
you
plus
did go to a
students
big
at my
school.
school. And so, if you weren't intentional about stuff, or if you didn't have somebody like pulling you to the side, like I said, my parents were immigrants, two very intelligent people raised by my mom pretty much. She was always working. I knew she wanted me to go to college, but I was supposed to go away to college. And so it was the summer, and then I get a call from one of my best friends saying, Rachel, today's the last day to register. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, today
I would
is the
have
last
thrown
day.
up, actually. I can't even be in that
I didn't throw up, but I
situation.
quickly got up, got my clothes on, and went down there. Here's the blessing. I wasn't completely raggedy. I had actually applied for financial aid.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Because I knew I needed financial aid. I knew I needed money to pay
You
for
applied
school.
to...
Well, with financial aid, it can go...
No, I'm saying like you're just your school. Or the school you were going to
I applied
was...
to Miami-Dade Community College.
Yes.
Now it's called Miami-Dade College. It became a college, but the problem I had was I really was supposed to be going to Oakwood. At that time, it was Oakwood College, now Oakwood University. But because I didn't do my due diligence, I had to go ahead and go to the community college.
Oh, yeah, I never asked
You didn't know that?
You knew that you had wanted to go to Oakwood first, or you had planned to go...
I knew I wanted to go to Oakwood, but
okay.
it was like, I want to go to Oakwood.
Right.
But I didn't really put in the work.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I'll go to community college. And then
Yeah.
so she called me, rushed up there, went to the registration. Thank God, I always shout out Margaret Troford. She was over registration.
Child.
Thank God for her. Even though I had to wait, I'd be in her office waiting. She would slowly but surely take care of my paperwork, do all the things. That's how I got into Miami-Dade Community College. Very different experience. There was no campus to live on. Like, there was no on-campus housing.
Yeah.
You just took your classes. I was struggling a little bit.
Were you like sad? Mom, if I wanted to go to my 4-year college first and had to go to... I know me I feel like that would have made me
what's
so
interesting?
like, and I never even asked you, like, did that really bother you? That would have bothered me.
You know what's interesting? Like at that point, it was kind of like, oh man, like I messed up. But you know when I was sad? This is so crazy.
I've never asked you any of this.
It took me 2.5 years. You know, usually with a community college is 2 years. So it took me 2 years and a semester. 1990, I went to a Oakwood alumni weekend.
I didn't know
when
any
I went
of
to,
this.
I thought I told you this.
Oh.
I went to Oakwood alumni and I was like,
oh, that's how you knew you wanted to go. I didn't know this.
That's how I knew for sure.
Yeah.
I was like, I was dragging my feet on this. Look at all these Black people that
Who you
look
go with?
like. It was me, Randy, my sister Carla, Josie, Sharon.
Oh, okay.
And we stayed in a hotel right there on University Drive.
Wow, that's blowing my mind because it's a different University Drive.
My brother,
now.
he went too. But I just remember seeing all these Black people that looked great. They looked educated. They looked sharp.
Real polished like
from head to toe.
Did the Aeolians sing? Did you hear them sing?
I don't know. That's so funny.
Because that's like
Aeolians.
a draw. No, because I saw somebody in a comment section recently and they were like, I be in Adventist business and y'all don't know this, but they're hiding the Aeolians from y'all. Y'all have no idea. So I'm like, I wonder, did they sing?
That's so funny. Aeolians are fabulous, but I was more so attracted to DP.
I love DP.
And so that was the first time I started to feel like, you know, I had some FOMO. I was like, I am missing out on all this Black richness and culture.
Yeah.
And so that was like, I think alumni was Easter weekend. So just imagine that's somewhere in like April. So by December, I had gotten my stuff together. And January of 91, I was a student at Oakwood.
Good for you.
And that's when I really felt like, because people had made their friends.
When you come in
they
late,
came in
it's
as
different.
freshmen.
It's different.
And they, you know, they knew each other. Like, don't get me wrong. I knew some people there already. But I was not a legacy Oakwood student. I didn't have parents that went there. As a matter of fact, I'm the first one in my family to get a bachelor's degree.
You started the Oakwood legacy, really.
Yeah, I started the Oakwood
nobody
legacy.
else, it's you and then sitting, I cut it off at the knees.
You cut it off at the knee. But they didn't have a dance program. So it is what it is.
Yeah.
But I literally had to get in where I fit in. I remember going to financial aid, and anybody that went to Oakwood, you know, they can relate to this. And from what I understand, some HBCUs, love my HBCUs, but y'all know the struggle be real when it comes to clearing. And Oakwood, you had to have 70% of your money. I didn't know nothing about that.
I don't know how you did all that by yourself.
I just know I had to fill out some paperwork. I get there. Oh my gosh. I don't
know how you did all this by yourself.
Oh my gosh. I felt like it was like yesterday. It was cold. Mind you, I'm coming from Miami.
Please, setting the scene.
I'm setting the
cold.
Scene. It was cold.
I like that.
Here's what I didn't realize. Like, having pants and a shirt, a long sleeve shirt or a sweater is different than having pants and a shirt for winter weather. Like, my pants were thin.
Because you were growing up in Miami. Even though you were born in New York, you were growing up in Miami. Yes. So it's like, you not.
They probably were like paper rayon thin pants.
Oh,
and then I had, a sweater. Stop trying to feel sorry for me.
I just feel bad sometimes.
I mean, if it was 91, I had just turned 20. Right?
Gosh.
And so my shoes, I remember they were flats. They covered my feet, but that was not enough. You know, when it's cold, you need something covering your entire foot.
Lord.
You need to be thick enough. I was freezing.
I feel bad for
you.
And
on the campus, it's like, you got to go to financial aid is here. You got to go to get cleared over here. You got to do this here.
Wild goose chase.
You want a scholarship? Oh, you got to go to this office here and fill out for the scholarship.
The runaround.
And pray that you get enough. Okay, $500. And I need 9,000.
Right. Dropping the bucket.
It
really,
was stressful.
Like...
If you went to Oakwood in the 80s, 90s, you get it. Like, there were so many prayers being had in line. Because you were standing in line for hours.
And the way everybody, I didn't even go. And even I know of the whole, like, everybody has their getting into Oakwood clearing story. Everybody has it. I ain't even going. Everybody talks about that.
Yes, it's serious. And here's what's so funny. The whole time I was there, I felt like people knew something I didn't know. Like, I felt like there was a secret. Like, I would see somebody get out of line and either they might be called by somebody that works there or they just go to them. And I'm like, how do they know them?
Because you know what? That's kind of how, and that's
nepotism, all kind of stuff was going
on. I feel like sometimes that can be the difference between like HBCU and PWIs. Sometimes with the HBCU, depending on like who you know or whatever, like even though that definitely some of that stuff goes on, but at like a smaller... No, you're okay. You're okay. I saw the panic.
We
run
break
through
the
her.
fourth wall all the
Deanna
time.
be in front of the camera. Deanna be talking.
Booty in front of the
I
camera.
promise you. But I feel like that it definitely does happen at PWIs, like behind the scenes. Like
she
it's
comes.
usually like right. I feel like it definitely does happen at PWIs behind the scenes, like a legacy kid or somebody whose parent donated
that's
a building.
true.
But sometimes with like HBCU smaller, it gets very like, I know so and so in the front office, and they gonna pull you here, and they gonna da-da-da-da.
Yes.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. Like I said, I was there, and I'm like, I may have known one or two people just from, church events from Miami, but it was like, I kind of felt a little, I remember there was no cell phones.
Out of sorts.
So I couldn't call.
How did you do this, Mom?
Like I had to wait till the evening. I'm on the phone with my family like, I miss you guys.
Oh my God.
It's cold up here. And but you know what I appreciate about that though? It really shaped me into the person that I am today. Like, you want to talk about having to develop some grit?
No, you're like next level. You're not scared of anything. Like
No,
that's why
that's not completely true.
Well, it's just because that's why I always say, I'm like, how did you even do that? Because not that I'm just like, oh, like just some weakling. I could like lock in. But when I think about you being by yourself, both your parents, like you said, both your parents are immigrants. So like the American school system is not just like top of mind where they're like, well, this is what you need to do. I had you doing all that. You're like, Shari, you need to call this person and you need to make sure, get on these dates. You were working at my school. So we were taking care of all of that.
But you did do it. Like, I didn't do everything for you. I just kind of gave you guidance.
True, you gave me guidance and I got right on it.
The thing.
You didn't have a guide. You just went to another state and
I would have to ask questions. I filled out my own. Back then, FAFSA was on paper. I filled out my own FAFSA and then I took it to my mom, told her what it was, and she signed it. And here's the thing about, and I think this is really an important thing to think about. You know how they say like, people who work hard, they work hard so their kids can have, but then sometimes that generation ends up not working as hard sometimes, and then they end up not putting things in place. And so when you are in survival mode, you have no choice.
Yeah.
But to either, like they say, get living or get dying. Like I knew if I wanted this bad enough,
get busy living or get busy dying. Yeah.
If I wanted this bad enough, I had to make that happen. Even if it was me that had to walk it from place to place, have the phone conversations, whatever I needed to do. When I tell you and there was no internet back then. There was no, let me search this, let me get that. It literally was, bare bones.
Dude, and everything's on paper.
Everything's on paper.
That's why I say when I think about it and really break it down, I'm like, Mom came from another state. She did not have parents that could be like, let me let you know everything you need to do. I'm like, how did you get somewhere and like, find somewhere to live and get into school. And I know people do it every day. Yeah. But I guess just when I think about like you and I'm like, maybe because you were like by yourself, I'm like, that's like.
And I will say this about me, and I've always been like this. At the end of the day, my foundation is my faith. And honestly, there was something within me that pulled at me. When I came to that alumni weekend, I knew like my destiny was to be there. Like I had to be there. Didn't know I was going to start a family there. Didn't know I was going to make friends that became like family there. I just knew that there's just a world of like possibilities and potential and opportunities on the other side of that. So I had to get past my fears. I had to get past, like I didn't have the space or time to even sit and wallow. It was
Mom.
It was, but let me tell you something about Oakwood's campus. And I don't care what people say about Oakwood. Every place you're going to find things that don't work out, good things, bad things, what have you. But there were people I met in line. They don't even know you. They just would stop and pray with you. Like, you're going to get through this. We're going to get through this. Like, it just encouraged me so much. And honestly, like that experience, yes, I finally got in. And semester to semester, it was literally like parading my way through again. Now, don't get me wrong. I got smarter. I found out about more opportunities for scholarships. I became an RA.
So quick little note to our audience, our microphone audio went out here. So the next 10 minutes or so is going to be the audio from the cameras. It doesn't sound as great. It doesn't matter. We're going to get back on track in like 10 minutes.
And when you become an RA, it paid for my room and board. Well, and so, but my food wasn't paid for. And so that was a thing too. But here's what was interesting. Did I tell you about how I went pretty much a semester where I was not on the food plan, and I was going to the grocery store, and I was living off of PB&J and noodles.
You told me, Mom.
And let me just say this.
Wow.
It got to the point. So I made it through that semester, right? And then that next semester, I didn't have enough money to clear 70%. I said, if I just take off the food,
oh, Mom,
I will clear
and be
able to go to school. Like, I'm laughing now, because when you think about it, I would never let you guys.
You would never let us do that. But sometimes when I think about you, then I just feel so bad for you, because you just were trying. You were trying, like you were doing.
But you know what? But I wasn't
making it work, and I know you weren't even pitiful. But I guess because the way I'm like, oh no, like I just want you to just like.
I was walking around like I made it. I made it.
You're like, well, I'm clear. Well, I'm
yes, I'm clear.
Nothing sad about being clear.
I mean, I don't know what I'm gonna eat, but I'm clear. And so, I'll never forget. That was an interesting story within itself, where, like I said, if I take off this food plan, then I can clear.
Yeah.
But I still needed more money, and I'll never forget. It got to the point where I was like, I don't know where this money's coming from, but I'm not leaving until the president himself tells me I must leave.
No, she literally said that. And every time you tell the story, it has never changed. Like, you said the exact same thing every time.
Yes.
She was not leaving that school unless the president was like, you must get out.
There's something about being committed.
Mm-hmm. You took classes. You continued
to show. Well, let me tell them what happened. What happened was, I said,
so
and the thing about Oakwood, oh my gosh, they give you a deadline to clear. Okay? Yeah. So the deadline's approaching. When the deadline comes, the RAs are coming door by door to check your paperwork. Remember, everything at this point, things are not digital. They want to see the stamp that says cleared. I don't have the stamp. Do you know they never came to my door? But instead of writing that out, I said, let me still try to work something out. Because remember, I said, I'm not leaving till the president tells me I have to leave.
Right.
So I ended up going to the student services and talked to them in there, and that's when we figured out like what we can do. And they were like, oh, we got housing, married student housing across the street. Mind you, I'm not married. But they were just these houses. They were older, right there on the campus, but doesn't quite feel the same as the dorms. But I'm like, Rachel, you can't be picky. You want to go to Oakwood. She's on the phone. She's working things out for me. She's like, okay, so here's how it's going to work. You're not going to be on the meal plan. You're going to be across the street, but you got to go to the president's office to get the paperwork signed.
Yeah.
So I go to the president's office, and I'll never forget Miss Bartholomew was there. I always shout her out when I tell you I would not have this degree if it was not for her. Because she was willing to go. There were several people at Oakwood that were willing to go the extra mile for this to happen for me. She signed the paperwork for me. After that, I was just waiting for somebody to tell me, now it's time to move across the street.
Yeah.
Nobody ever told me. Wow. So I stayed in the dorm.
Mom, it's like so crazy.
I stayed in the dorm. Wait. Here's the other thing that you were alluding to. You're not supposed to go to classes because you're not on the roster.
Yeah.
They take everybody off. I never asked a teacher if I was on the roster or not. I took the test.
Just submitting work.
I was submitting work.
Doing everything.
Like, literally, that's what it means by, like, you just got to move by faith. Like, I couldn't see it, but I just knew I was supposed to be there. So by the time they did approve me for everything, which was way after the close date, I had not missed a beat.
Yeah.
However, and I got to shout out my sister, Carla. She would send me $20 here and there. $20 we can blow on right now. But I would take that $20.
I was stretching like a mug back then, please.
I would go to that grocery store, and you couldn't tell me nothing. Of course, my cart always had the ramen noodles and the PB&J. I guess I wouldn't trade it for anything because that was just like my journey. But I just know now there is that thing that I have within me. When I know something is meant to be, I'm going to push forward regardless of all the things that come my way, because that is life.
So next time that you wonder why I'm such a stickler, you need to remember that you said I'm not leaving until the president himself escorts me out. So those times when you're like, sorry, I don't know where you're getting this militant. Why you're militant? Where is that coming from?
Here's the difference.
Because when you say that, I just imagine you like staging a sit-in. Like every time you tell that, I'm like, she had picket signs and she sat outside.
Here's what's so funny about that.
So I'm like, next.
Sorry, that's not something I ever would have said to his face.
No.
In that way, I probably would have said, I probably would have like pleaded like, I really need to be here, and how can you make that happen for me?
Yeah.
But I know in my spirit, it definitely was a spirit of, no, I won't go.
Yeah,
right?
so whenever I get like that, you need to remember
Shari,
that.
you can't be throwing your stuff in. Don't try to
thing.
sprinkle your stuff in. Your stuff is a little different. There's a little bit more rage.
I'm saying it's about justice though. But it's that same
true.
exact spirit. It's the same exact
the same
thing.
spirit.
It's the same energy.
So it would have been justice for me because I deserve to be there.
I think you had a right to be. If you're asking me,
let's pause. Shari, this card is full.
what?
Another mini SD card.
I do have another one.
Yeah.
But wait, when did it get full?
Girl, I think when I got up, because I came back and it wasn't red no more.
Oh no.
Right.
We had a setback, but it's fine and it's okay.
Crisis averted.
And I'm not gonna spiral.
Our producer came through.
Yes.
Way to go, Deani.
But I was gonna say, when I hear your experience, it is so drastically different from mine. Even just, and we'll get into that, like just experience being in school, but like getting in, 1000% different. You had me on schedule. You're like, okay, this is the year that you like. Junior year is when you're like solidifying where you want to go. You need to be like applying at a certain time. I was in that college and career center often.
Yeah.
The only thing that ended up being my setback was, remember, I was in the performing arts department at my college. I was a dance major, and they were like, you can do arts themed housing. Remember that? And I was like, well, I don't know if I want to do that because I'm going to be with them all the time. Maybe if I want to have a different experience, whatever. But I ended up saying yes. And then something happened where I was not on top of getting my room. Do you remember?
I know what it was. I know exactly what it was because I was on top of it.
What was it?
It was not our fault. What
it
happened
wasn't? Okay, I'm like, because I was ready to take responsibility, but I was like, because we were on top of everything.
Here's the thing. First of all, Kennesaw State, unlike Oakwood University,
so much bigger.
Students, 32,000 students.
Yeah, more now.
Right.
It's too much
even
more if
more
you ask me.
But they're combined.
Here go Deani.
Okay, death crawl. They're combined between, I think, Southern Polytech and Kennesaw State came together, so it's huge.
Now it's just Marietta campus. Southern Polytech is just Marietta campus.
It's just Marietta campus, exactly. But they include them in their number. But what had happened was, like, all your stuff was done. You were accepted, your test scores, even your registration stuff, I believe.
Everything flew right on through. We didn't have one single thing. What happened
was they gave us a deadline for housing. And
they
blocked off. They called it theme housing, I think.
Arts themed housing.
Arts themed housing.
Yes.
But what we didn't know, the housing, people had started paying for their housing already. And somebody told me, you need to go ahead and secure housing because they're about to run out.
No, Mom. I know what happened. My boyfriend at the time, ex-boyfriend now, messaged me and told me that his best friend said his best friend was going to the same college as me. He was like, "Oh, he's telling me that housing is gone."
That's the person.
I didn't know who it was. Yeah, it was through me. I came to you. I said, ex-boyfriend is telling me that his best friend is saying that housing is gone. And I literally, I freaked out. You're like, no, we're calling them because of whatever reason that you had.
We didn't miss the deadline. We just didn't know that there was such a high demand for rooms.
That's what it was. Yeah. That's what it was. We had no idea.
Was because you were in art themed housing.
Thank God I picked it.
Those rooms were already blocked off.
Yes, and that's why I was so glad, because I remember at first, I'm trying to make sure I'm not too far from this mic, child. I remember at first we were wondering if I wanted to even do it, and I was like on the fence. But I remember in that moment I was so glad that I had chosen it, because if not, I remember looking at you and saying, "Mom, if I didn't choose that, I would not be on campus my first year."
And that part scared me because I felt like being on campus.
Your freshman year.
I know it's not for everybody. But
I loved every second of it, though. I needed that experience because my friends who were off campus, you could literally see the difference. They were always like fiending to get on campus. Whose room? This is going on. Okay, whose room can I stay in prior to? Who's da da da? I'm so glad I didn't have to do that. And when they were like, "Oh, well, she signed up for arts theme, so we have a spot," I was like, oh, like I couldn't even. It just felt like such a close call. I'm like, I can't even believe I almost didn't have my dorm. It was a very close call. Also, I remember us looking at each other, and I'm like, I feel like we have felt a little, not like stupid, but like, how we missed that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. I think I do remember feeling that way,
but
but I guess I wasn't too hard on myself because it was just one of those circumstantial things. The deadline had not come. Maybe I was trying to wait to pay for it. At
maybe
the end
so,
of the month.
or something.
Knows,
I don't know.
You know,
yeah.
I get paid
Who knows what it really could have been? It could have.
I probably was waiting.
Teacher salary.
You know, all the things. So
and I was used to like when you're a teacher's kid and you're on teacher salary schedule, your mind thinks that way forever.
Don't ask me nothing on the 15th. Don't ask me nothing on the 15th.
It's the reason I was just telling her, because I was telling my friends, I do a grocery trip once a month. They were like, that's insane. How do you even swing that? And I was trying to figure out the origins. And I'm like, I do it once a month because she did it once a month. And she did it once a month because she gets paid once a month as a teacher.
The major shopping.
The major grocery. Of course, you go and you do your couple things. But I was used to that schedule. Like the teacher salary, I was used to that. So child, it probably was because of something like that.
And I didn't like going to the grocery store too.
Right.
But you know, when it came to eggs and milk and all that,
yeah,
I had to go.
But with school, it very well could have been like, okay, we need to wait till this check in and
the check hit. Right. And that's before the deadline. But clearly Kennesaw State was on and popping.
Whoa, I'm telling you.
It filled up so quickly.
Also, Kennesaw State has some of the best housing. Let me just say that real quick.
And then we got to talk about food.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Wow, our experiences. Wow, Mom. Okay, yeah, we're gonna get into it. Their housing is very sought after because it's like for a college, it's very good housing.
It is.
In the main freshman dorms, it's University Village. I don't know if the name is still the same. I had 3 roommates. We all had our own room and bathroom. Like I was on TikTok, I think like last year, and people were talking about going to college. They're like, "Oh my gosh, community bathroom, da da da." And I'm like, "Let me sit in my tight corner because that was not my experience." About that.
Yeah, the only thing, y'all even had a washer and dryer.
We had an in-unit washer dryer. Yes.
So the only thing you shared was the living space, the kitchen, and the washer dryer. But honey, that kitchen gave you the skis.
I can't. I just can't even do it.
They didn't.
But the fact that I had my own room and bathroom made adjusting so much easier because I wasn't like, I didn't have to deal with like, oh my gosh, I'm going from me and my sister or just me to dealing with like 3 other girls and child, you don't know people's habits, people be nasty, child. But getting in, as far as without the whole housing scare, Hope Scholarship was set up. We had our specific loans that they give you. It's like
you had
loans
that
is just a necessary
scholarship that you applied for.
Yes, there was also another one. You would have had
hopefully Bill Gates Millennium, but one of those recommendations.
One of the references that didn't come through.
They waited the last minute.
But you know what? We don't know if that coming through meant I would have gotten it.
Yes, I know. But just the thought
but it is
of
a question in our mind.
If you don't know anything about applying for the Bill Gates Millennium Scholarship, I think it was like
it's
8 essay
grueling.
questions.
Yes.
And you had been working on that the entire time. And I remember
for months, I think.
And you know, love the person that you chose because you know these are my colleagues.
It was multiple people, so they won't even know. Nobody's even gonna know.
But I told you to choose someone else because I felt like she knew you a little better.
And I should have listened to you. I don't know if I ever told you that.
I think you did tell me, and I'm like, and the other person did it. Right. But they tried to submit it the day it was due, and everybody knows the day something is due, the system gets piled.
Real
and next
finicky.
Thing you know, when I was like, okay. We got notice that they started notifying you can go online, and there was an X next to that one person's recommendation.
Yeah. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Because you know they'll pay for undergrad.
They pay for everything. Housing included. So I really had wanted that one, but like we said, who's to say that I would have gotten it? Because it was a lot of good applicants. Jose was the one who had gotten it from our school, and we were like, period.
Jose Amador.
Yes, Jose Amador. He was on top of it. I know those essays were good. I know that he 1000%. When I heard he got it, I'm like,
yeah, for sure.
And I'm not even on trip.
I don't think it's just one person per
school. It's not one per school. It's just so spread out in general because the winners are very small. So the fact that we had one, 1000%.
But you had a totally different experience.
Yeah.
And Kennesaw State, let me just give them props. Like, very together, very organized.
Yes.
Like, remember when I went to the parent, they had the, where the parents have to go.
It was my orientation day. Yeah.
Some of them parents were lost. They were confused. They asked all these questions.
And
I was sitting there.
You're texting me. You said, walk out of your seminar so I can let you know what I've learned. You said, so we're going to do this. We're actually going to go to the Commons now. We're going to get there early. You were learning everything.
The rest of the parents were confused.
Mom, that same day, oh my gosh, I forget about this sometimes. The lady that she met the day of my orientation, she met somebody in an office.
We clicked like that.
But her meeting that lady is the reason why I had the best on-campus job for pretty much all of college. I had it from sophomore year on.
So pause right there. Let me just do a commercial here. It really pays to be kind to people, to be courteous, to sometimes just sitting down, having a conversation, remembering people's names. Mm-hmm. Because this lady, I literally had just met her, but our personalities just kind of clicked.
I'm going to shout her out. Sharon Brownlow.
Yes.
Love her.
Yes.
Love her.
And then I think you were out I don't know where you were because it was me and her that talked
I remember.
first.
I was looking for you because I started to get mad because I'm like, where is she? I can't find her. I'm texting you. I'm calling you. You're like, sorry, I got tied up.
That's right, because the parents went one place and you went somewhere else.
But you frolicked around that campus.
I did.
As if you were
and I was trying to get your butt a job while you were sitting and worried about where I am. And I was like, oh, my daughter, she would be great here. She didn't know you from a can of paint.
She didn't, but it was off the strength of y'all's interaction.
But she wanted you to work for her. Then eventually pulled you in. Like you said, you had the best job on campus.
Yeah, because you said, oh, I'm in this office. I went back, met her, and then I'm clicking with her. I just met the lady. Now we're all clicking.
Tell them what job you had.
We're all laughing. I was the information desk attendant in the student center, which means basically any question that people have just about campus, they want to know where's financial aid, they want to know where's the lost and found. I'm just sitting there telling them where to go and what to do. Nothing serious, nothing grueling. Like when I tell you the easiest thing.
She could study there.
I was getting paid to do my homework.
Watching Netflix movies.
No, I'm about to get into that, but I want to say this. The best piece of advice I feel like I could give for college, there's a lot, but one of the biggest things, find a really easy campus job, because it's basically when you find the really easy ones, you're getting paid to do your homework. You're basically getting paid to go to school. Yes. All my work was getting done during my shift because I'm sitting at this desk. It's dependent on who's coming by. Somebody might come by and say, well, where's financial aid? And I just pull up the thing. I give them a map and they go, like simple. Yes. And meanwhile, I'm doing accounting homework, getting everything finished.
And remind them, like, what was it? People used to come to you and say, how'd you get this?
Oh, about to say, that's part of it. People knew that job was the easiest, best job. So people would come up and they would say, how do I apply for this job specifically? How do I get this job? And I'm like, well, you can't really apply for this job. You got to go in the portal and you got to apply for all the jobs. Like, because there was a portal where you can see all the jobs and then you go from there. But people wanted that specific job.
You were basically like, you're not getting my job.
Oh, yeah. I'm like, look, I'm here to stay until I graduate. But the lady that she met got me that job because they had connected. She got my information. So whenever a job was popping up, she was putting my name in for it. It started off with her getting me the job at the bookstore, remember?
Yes, you were only there for one day.
For training. There's one thing about me. I know immediately when something's not for me, and I will get out of it quickly. Like, I know the second I'm like, no, this is literally not my environment. I'm not doing it. Went through training. I was a trooper. They wouldn't even have known that I didn't like it or that I didn't want to be there because I'll give it my all while I'm there.
Of course,
I'm never going to be disrespectful. I'm never going to slack, and I'm not going to like unless what?
They lie to you. Remember you told the story the last time.
Oh, I'm not going to slack, but I'm going to say my piece because it's like, don't just be lying.
For sure.
But I'm not going to half step. You know what I mean? But I remember calling you on lunch break. I said, yeah, Mom, I really don't like this. Like I
was like, Shari, what's wrong? And then you gave me the rundown. I was like, I'm not even going to fight this.
Yes,
battle.
I gave her the run because it was being a cashier for the bookstore. If you're in college, you know anything about the bookstore, those first 2 weeks, people, they are there for hours. The line is going up the stairs, out the door at the bookstore. It's grueling. Actually, all of them, I'm like, my heart goes out to you. You're dealing with people. The students are coming up there. They're trying to buy the book. You don't have your financial aid. Yes, I do. I have my credit. Now you're in a thing.
You know what?
I couldn't do it.
One thing about you have something when it comes to environment.
It's do.
Just like that time you had that 5th grade teacher.
Oh.
And you came home from school. And I said, how was school? And you said to me, my teacher doesn't smile.
That was the first thing I said.
We're in trouble.
You said, we're in for a year.
We're in for a year.
Scared.
Because the minute, like the fact that she didn't smile.
Yeah.
And when you said that and I didn't let you know, I was like, Shari, you're going to be fine. Da-da-da.
And I knew I wasn't going to be fine.
Every day you came in
What
there.
it is I'm very affected by energy. It's like the minute I feel it, my body absorbs it. And it's just like, this is not for me. Yes. And when I was at the bookstore that day and they were like, okay, so this is how the cash register works. My brain wanted to turn off. I said, I can't do this. I said, I don't think this is for me.
Shari.
I probably could push
why'd
through.
Your brain shut off on the cash register?
I don't know. There's sometimes things come up and I'm like, I don't think I can delve into that.
But you end up being a server.
Well, but I didn't have to do cash register. We were on the little the POS system. But I knew that day and I said, I don't think this is for me. And then I reached out to them afterwards. I'm like, thank you so much, but I don't think I'm going to be able to do this job. I was very
what is
courteous.
it you always say? It's been nice.
Everyone's been great. Why do you like when I do that?
It's hilarious.
Everyone's been amazing. I actually do have to go.
That's Shari's exit. If
That's
she's somewhere,
exit. I have like an exit monologue
like anywhere where she doesn't want to be. We joke about like how she's going to make her exit, and it is
Everyone's been amazing. Thank you so much. It's no one's fault. Everybody's been so great. I actually do have to go.
Yes. That's the part that gets me.
You love it.
And that's
but
what
I
you
knew.
had to do.
So, and this was right before sophomore year. So it was like the summer before, like we got out, I was still on campus a little bit, but they try to get you before. So when the time school starts, you're good to go. Got out of that. I want to say it was the second semester of my sophomore year. Yes. I get a call and they're like, oh, we have an opening. You were recommended by this lady named Kat. Kat was friends with the lady that my mom made friends with.
Brownlow.
So she was just passing my name along, just keeping my name in the mix. They were like,
just
well,
matters.
you were it really does.
It really does matter.
And when I think back to that, I'm like, wow. And I would not have had that job if you didn't just talk to that lady.
What did you think
they
I was
wouldn't
going
have known my name?
Yeah. What did you think I was going to say earlier when I was saying you never know? And then remember
I thought you were going to say like get you in campus job because you told me that before. One of the first things you told me, you were like, Shari, and if you can find you an easy campus job, do it. And I remember when you said that, I said, oh, well, that's the kick I'm on because I also didn't have a car. So I'm like, I need a job I can just be able to get to. I worked there in the summers. This is why I say that job was just like cake. In the summer, nobody is on campus except for like the summer class kids, but most of them are online and nobody's really in the student center. I'm watching Netflix. I'm watching Hulu.
I cannot lie. I was so jealous during the times
and I'm
that school
getting
was
paid. And I didn't have a car. I started living off campus, but there was a bus to take me. So it's like I would wake up in the summer, maybe 3 days out of the week. A bus is taking me to my job. Sometimes there'd be somebody working with me. I'm like, what you want to watch today? Okay. It come lunchtime, I'm like, you trying to order lunch? I remember me and my friend Kieran, I'd be like, well, we doing Olive Garden today. Ordering Olive Garden. We're at work, but...
Ordering Olive Garden, stark contrast to I'm not on the meal plan.
No, right? Like that's why
I'm eating PB&J and noodles.
So different.
Very
but
different.
That job was making me money. My rent was covered by financial aid. Like you honestly, you took me through the steps to where I could have it set up like that.
And you know
you
what?
Gave me a lot of advice.
And I will say this: if I had to do it again, I'd do it the same way. Parents, it gives me like such peace to know that you were okay, and you know how I feel about stuff. Especially when you tell me like any kind of suffering, you're like,
oh Lord, don't let me bring up.
When you had your apartment and you're like,
because
I needed. Oh, I'm so glad I finally went to the grocery store
No,
because I needed. I'm just like, what?
She hates it so much because even though I had the job, I would have like good money. I would also, I'm a big saver still to this day, but I was a saver then. So I would have like money for stuff, but it was a campus job. It's only going to stretch so far. So there may be a certain point in the month where things are a little scant. And I would just maybe need a $10 to just get me a little something. So I would call her, I'd be like, can you send me a $10? Hysterical. Like, if you need $10, you need 50. I can't believe, I'm like, Mom, like, it's literally
I'm not sending you $10.
And then even now when I bring it up, I'll be like, oh my gosh, remember those times like I wouldn't have nothing to cook and and she just can't even talk about it. Like,
like I just, don't get me wrong. It's not that I never wanted you to suffer. Like, how can I say it? No, I don't want you to suffer. But I knew you were the type of child that you do appreciate the work that I've done for you, the sacrifices I've made for you. But if you don't have to sacrifice for something, I didn't, especially food.
Like, because I would not always ask you, and I would just like wait. I'm like, oh well, this is coming in, and da. I would wait till I was in like dire straits. I think that's what you didn't like. Yeah, I'd be like, well, I really need toilet paper, and I just really need to just have something to cook. And she hated
I need toilet paper is crazy.
But in my head, I'm like, I'll work it out, and because I was working it out.
And I was proud of you. I was proud of you for working it out. You did always, even though I did all those things, I always say, I think when they were young, I used to say, nobody owes you anything.
Yeah.
Remember that? Mm-hmm. And I'm glad I did that. And I always wanted you guys to be humble and appreciate the things you have. But like to a fault, sometimes you will like suffer needlessly.
I know. But it's just because I'm like, I will wait until I can't figure it out anymore. If I can keep figuring it out, I will just keep figuring it out on my own. But freshman year, I didn't really have that issue because I was on the meal plan. And I don't know how Kennesaw State cafeteria, the Commons, is now. But when I was there,
my.
Gourmet.
Like I would go there, and if I'm going to go visit Shari, we're going to eat in the Commons.
We're eating.
They would have, was it fried chicken on Thursdays?
Fried chicken Thursdays, fried chicken, mac and cheese, mashed potatoes,
collard greens.
And I tell you, it was like, it's good.
It's fresh.
Like,
Kennesaw State has their own farm.
Yes.
And so they were number 2 at that point in the
in
nation
the country. And I think
for food.
the one before them was a private
school.
Yes.
So they're really number one among state schools
Yes.
for food. Number two nationwide, period. That food was so good. They had a bar for everything. They had a Mexican bar, the burger bar. Then they had, like, if you were vegan, they had a juice bar.
There's
They
vegan
had
desserts
quinoa.
every day. There's vegan food every day. If you want to go get a stir fry, like they had like the
You
what
can
was it?
have
There was like a
whatever you
Japanese
like.
section. There was like
Yes.
there was a hibachi section. There was a Mexican food section. There was like a home cooked section if you want burger and fries and chicken tenders, because some people eat that every day. It was a section for that. It was a salad section, a wrap section, a Italian section, like
Everything
pasta,
you could
pizza,
think of.
anything you could think of, and it was genuinely good.
Good. And that was the total opposite. Mine, of course,
Yeah.
no meat.
I was
Potato
eating
chip casserole, things of that
Right?
nature.
I
But let
was
me ask
eating
you this.
so
I want to
good.
just shift for a second.
Okay.
As you think about your college years, what's your best, what's your worst?
Ooh.
You know you love a good question.
Oh, that's hard. I would say, okay, no. My best 1000% was my dance department. I had the best memories, some of the best memories of my life there. Me and my friends at that dance department, we were having a blast. To be like an art student, I felt like really was a privilege because instant friendships. I can't speak for everybody who was there. There had to be somebody who may not have made friends as easily. But when people talk about going into college now and they're like, how are people making friends? I'm struggling. And I'm like, I was in a class of
That
like
first
30
week, though.
kids. But hold on.
Yeah.
That first week was rough. But when I think back to it, I'm like, people are talking about going into majors where you're having classes where you don't even see those people again. I was seeing the same people for 4 years straight. And in
Yes.
my class, there was like, 30 of us max. So I have this concentrated group. I'm like, it made it really easy for me to integrate and to like settle in. I was having a
Kind
blast.
of like a parallel of what you had in high school.
Yes, I was having a blast, but it was better because we just have all this freedom and we would just have so much fun. We have a time like just staying up late. We're in each other's rooms. The worst was in that first year. One, the first week when I thought everybody had made friends already and that I didn't, and I was like, I'm never gonna make friends. And two, because I decided, am I talking too fast?
That's how you talk.
Okay.
You talk fast.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know what to do about that, but I just felt
You're
it for a
just
second.
not saying that.
I felt it for a second. I was like, but I don't really know how to slow it down anyway. The first week, and just I think for a couple of months, because I went to a PWI and a lot of my friends from high school had gone to HBCUs. When homecoming came around and I was seeing on their stories them be at homecoming, and if you've been at HBCU, homecoming there, that experience, it's like formative to where it's so serious for Black alumni to come back to homecoming. Like still, it's a really big deal, and it's drastically different from homecoming at a PWI. Like I was doing homecoming stuff at Kennesaw State, and yes, I would be having fun, but then I would go on my story and I see my friends like doing like it's just so Black.
You did have that one moment where you had the Meg Thee Stallion concert.
Yes, and that
then
was fun, but that
time
was my senior year.
There was some frat or something. They were dancing in the cafeteria.
Yes. It was called Cram Jam. It was like this party before finals, which it's funny. It was a party that the college threw, but the Black people took over, child. So it was fun because
that's
the
right. They
Black
would keep the
students,
cafeteria open.
yes, the Black students took over. So all like it was like a D9 event, honestly. So I'm like, I'm sorry if y'all came here and you're part of the white student body, you may not know what's going on, but it was like that kind of stuff I love. But they were having that all the time. And coming from my high school, it was mixed. But New Manchester was predominantly Black.
Yeah.
So it's like I was used to feeling very like understood and seen and heard. And besides just the whole seeing the other homecomings, it was like an adjustment for me. Like, did I tell you that? There was like certain like slang I would use. There were certain jokes that I would make that they did not get. And they would just be looking at me. Case in point, and it's popular now, but not everybody will be like, oh, not this, not that. I was saying that freshman year of college because we had said that all high school. We have been saying that forever. That's how Black people talk. So they could be talking about like, I don't know, they got new ballet shoes. I'm like, oh, not new ballet shoes. And they would just be like, huh? That is difficult. That's so hard because it's like, I'm speaking a different language. Y'all don't even know what I'm saying. Y'all don't even know what I'm saying. I'll be like, oh, come on, such and such. Come on, hair. They'd be like, come on. I'm like, oh, like for months, I'm like, it would make me stop speaking sometimes. Like sometimes I'm like, they're not gonna know what I'm saying anyway.
Wow.
So that was really difficult, like adjusting into that, like, and then let me not say too much, child.
What?
Because no, it'll be too specific. But yeah, I had my fair share of microaggressions. I had my fair share of like I heard some crazy stuff sometimes, like while I was just there. And eventually I did find like more Black people and I started to feel more settled in. Like I found my best friend at the time. And that really helped both of us because we will both notice the same things. We both be like, "You saw that? Okay, yeah. I'm glad it's not just me." It helped me a lot.
That's so deep. Like you're just speaking to like how much people need and want to be affirmed. Like
Yes.
and even in just conversation, you just want to know that, oh, you get it. You
Yes.
get me.
Like I'm speaking a different language.
Oh gosh.
Like I was like, "Oh, period, da 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 da." And they're like, "What?" And it's funny because now every single one of them talk that way. And I'm like,
so you were ahead of the game.
I just was Black, not
that
even
was
head
your
of the game.
best?
I just was Black. And it's like now it's popular to speak that way. And I'm like, no, know your roots. Because
Right.
that's just how Black people, a lot of them talk.
This is true. Well, if I had to speak to my best and worst, I think the best is just the feeling. If anybody knows anything about Oakwood AY, like sitting in an AY where everybody is singing 3, sometimes 4-part harmony.
Ooh.
And the musicians are phenomenal. The vocals are crazy. And everybody's just in unison. You just literally feel like, we are in this together.
Yes.
Like, and it was just especially like the first one after getting through registration and people are getting up, giving their testimony of how they got through. Those were some of the best moments of my life. And to be honest with you, some of those people that were my friends then and the connections I made as a result are still friends, really family now. Like I ended up living there for 19 years. So my family's, 1,000 miles away. They became family to me.
Yeah.
So not that my high school best friends were great, but you grow, you evolve, you go in different places. We'll still reach out to each other. But my college people or the people I met closely thereafter, because we were all there for college, like rock solid.
Yeah.
I would say that was some of my best moments. Worst, I would say my worst was, even though I think it was pivotal in my faith, was when I could barely clear and did not have, the lunch.
That is that's a lot.
Yeah, it was, but I didn't mull over it too much. I'll never forget. I gotta shout out my brother. He sent me 2 boxes and it was a lot. One had wild rice.
Please.
Boxes of wild rice, and the other one had grits.
That's so Uncle.
And I was not a grits eater, but there were people in my dorm that were, so I would swap out grits for ramen noodles.
Please,
with this one
barter.
girl. I was bartering. And then the wild rice became the wild rice at my wedding.
Please.
Serious.
And you couldn't have had it that long. That's crazy.
Well, remember, I got married in 92.
Yeah.
I got there in January of 91. So it was almost 2 years later that
How old were you got married?
I was 21 going on I was a month shy of 22.
Wow.
He locked it down. I didn't even realize it. But you know what's so interesting? People kept saying, at that time, they were like, you're so young, you're so young. I'm just like, growing up in Miami, and I was 14 in a club, like just having a good old time.
Doing too much.
Like we were just doing stuff. I was just having fun. So I felt like I had seen some things. I had experienced, like I didn't feel like I was so old. And it, it felt so right. And so it was like, yeah, I'm going to do that. And so I had Sydney when I was 24, you when I was 27. To be honest with you,
that's wild because I'm 26 right now.
You're 26 right now.
And I can't even, if somebody said marriage, but
I was thinking about your sister with the age she is now. I had a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old.
And if I looked at Sydney and she had a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old, we would both throw up. That does not even sound like something I can even like wrap my brain around for either of us.
But you know what I love about it though? I'm not, even though I can't say I was a teenage mom, but I was a young mom. I'm still young enough to like, when I hang with you guys, like y'all still want me around.
Yes.
And I appreciate it.
Oh, who's this? Like this old timer?
Yeah. Even though, don't get me wrong, I got my own life now. But we can hang out. Yeah. We can go on vacation. We can do the things and have a good old kiki. But it's just amazing how different. I do want to say this about college though. Looking back, like if I knew then what I knew now, like I'm not one of those people that say don't go to college. And I'm not one of those people that says you have to go to college. But I do believe that college is not necessarily for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
However, if you don't pick college, you better be ready to blaze a new trail for yourself.
You got to have a plan.
I think education is what's important. And some people, it's non-traditional.
Yeah.
And I think there are people who go to college and they spend all this money and they weren't really happy because they really didn't quite know what they want or even have that time or space to figure it out.
Yeah.
So the sooner you can start to figure it out, college just gives you, here's your bulletin, here are the classes you take, and you will get this degree.
Right. But
right?
what do you really do with it?
If some people who don't go to college, just like for example, I'll shout out Alexander John Talton. He's a celebrity designer.
Yeah.
He designs shoes. He even designs, if somebody's opening up a new store, he is a genius. But he put in the work. He did his due diligence to educate himself. And of course, he's just artistic. He's gifted in that way.
Right.
But you can't take nothing away from somebody like that because they got the education. So I'm just saying,
you gotta be ready to do that.
Yeah, and when you blaze a trail, there's gonna be some snakes that pop up. There's gonna be all kinds of things that you do not expect. And what's interesting about you, and maybe you can speak to it, is you do have that artistic side. I mean, from when you were young, you were like, I want to be an actress, and I want to be a model, and Sydney wanted to be an artist, and I never shot it down on purpose.
To do something like
artistic,
artsy, yes.
And I just said to you guys, if y'all gonna do that, that's fine, but just know you're gonna have to make money doing something else so you can survive while you're working on what you really love and want to do, because people are not gonna always appreciate your art. It's hard to convince people to appreciate what you produce or create.
Yeah.
And so, and look at you, you end up going to college and now you're doing something that's in the arts that you didn't necessarily need a degree for. But I just want you to speak real quick speak to that. I think that's a good place to kind of bring this to a close. Has it been an hour?
Mostly I've kind of gotten hate comments like that in the past. It don't really
hate comments anymore. About what? Who I need to get?
Mom, this is years ago. Because I said something about going to college but making content full time. I think part of it is for me is that doesn't make sense. What it is for me, number one, it's you go into college with the intentions of doing something within your major, but that's just not always how life goes. You could never predict everything. As best as you try, you could never predict how things are going to go. And one thing I would never do is be going in a direction that's good for me and that I'm loving and it's great and just saying, well, no, you didn't go to college for that and you didn't need a degree for that, so just don't do it and keep doing something else. But going to college just changed me in general. I'm a really different person after college than I was before college. And I think I needed to be there, even just besides just what I'm learning from the people around me, but doing the work, being in school, especially my dance major, the way they brought the creativity out of us, the way they hit us with taking, a lot of adults don't know how to take criticism. It's strange for me when I see it, because when you grow up in the dance world, criticism you're eating it for breakfast. You're so used to it. It's everywhere. You're so used to it.
What's for lunch?
That you
Doubt,
think that
despair.
More criticism on top of it. You don't get a break. They won't even let you get up. It's more and more and more. So as an adult, when I see other adults, I thought it was just a normal thing. Well, they're telling us that we're all trash. I really thought we were all used to it, but they got me so used to that. So now feedback and implementing it sounds like such a simple thing, but when you're around other people and you're seeing that it's not happening, I'm oh no, they instilled that in me real early. And especially in college, because they weren't sugarcoating anything. They weren't mincing their words. They're no, this isn't working because of blah, blah, blah. You need to go back to this. You need to go back and study this. That got me right, immediately. That has me so
kept
together.
You in check.
Yes, even just my timeliness. For example, if you come to a dance class and you're especially a ballet class, if you come late, they're going to come up to you, whisper in your ear and ask you to leave. All my deadlines, even the stuff I do with my content now, we'll be on a meeting and they're oh, we're not used to people being here on time. Or they'll be okay, so make sure you submit on time. I'm you'll have it 3 days early. They're oh, we're not used to people submitting early. I'm everything that was going on, even though you kind of taught me that just from jump, but in college, that being in practice and always having to be on top of it and always having to be on, especially in the arts, that honestly, I feel has prepared me very well for this.
Yeah.
More over prepared me really for anything.
So basically, the work ethic that you got and was able to reinforce in college is translated into digital creating.
Something that dance teachers, dance professors, whoever, one thing they always say is like, the best thing you can be is a smart dancer. That is a word that is always used. They're like,
interesting.
If you need to be anything, you need to be a smart dancer. Even if you're not the best dancer in the room, smart dancer. As a matter of fact, you could be in class and like the best compliment you get, they'll be like, smart dancer. So it's like smart dancer it's like a something that has spread all over.
And when they say smart dancer, because there's two ways I can take that. Smart dancer
how do you take it?
Well, one way I see is like smart academically and you dance, or you're smart as far as when you think about your movements and you're thinking about dance and creativity, you have to actually be able to like analyze things and
That's
be able to
part
process
of it.
things.
What they mean by smart dancer is problem solver.
Okay.
There is nothing worse than working with a group of dancers who are not problem solvers, because there's some things that you don't want to have to say, and some things that if you don't have to say them, it makes the process so much easier. So like that being drilled in my head for so long, if I'm working with a brand, everything there's, I'm already anticipating it. When you started showing me the presentation for this idea and you were breaking it down, I was 10 steps
already
ahead
going
of you.
through. Good.
Yeah, so
That's
it's like,
good.
I'm like, yeah, smart answer. Deani, what's your question?
Yeah, what would you say to the person who's trying to figure out which route to go, whether to go to a PWI or HBCU?
That's such a good question.
Well, that's a good question. I know when I was the AVID coordinator, we used to do an activity with the seniors where there's like a series of things that you would want to look at to see, like you want to find out what college is a good match for you.
And say the AVID acronym.
Oh, Advancement via Individual Determination. It's a college and career readiness system. And so I had students who their senior year, it was about college applications and their scholarships. And you kind of think of it like dating, like you want somebody that is a good match for you. There are a lot of people out there, but just because there are people out there doesn't mean, it's a match for you. Mm-hmm. So it could be like, what are you looking for? Do you want a liberal arts college? Do you want a college that has a good sports program? Do you want a college that think about your major more so than starting with, some kids do start with, I want a HBCU, I want a PWI.
Yeah.
I say first start just researching which schools might have the programs that you're interested in.
That's what I was going to say too.
Because that's your degree. Like, this is what you're saying you want to do for the rest of your life. And if I'm being quite honest with you, almost every school I've been at, a lot of us teachers didn't start off wanting to be teachers. Isn't that right?
Yeah. It turned to that.
I was going to be a doctor.
Yeah.
But my path allowed me to fall here, right? And so, but I do think it's important to do your due diligence. So that way you're at least doing something you're interested while you're there. You know what I'm saying?
You're putting putting first things first.
Putting first things first.
The most important thing is this program good for my major?
I'm on
Who
7
has the
Habits
best
of
program
Highly
for it?
Effective People.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
But that's exactly what I did. That's why I ended up applying for Kennesaw, because I looked up best dance programs in Georgia, and Kennesaw was ranked number 1. I knew I wanted to go to college in Georgia. Hope Scholarship. I knew I wanted to be near family.
But to speak to what you said also, I can understand why some parents might want their child to have a different experience, because maybe they grew up in a predominantly white environment and they want them to get that HBCU experience. But I might be different than some parents. I don't know. But I've just always been one, of course, with guidance, I like my kids to pick where they want to go, because I don't want it to be a situation now you are in college and you are wasting money. Like you're just there because mom, dad forced you to be there. Now, I'm not going to let you do nothing crazy. I'm not going to condone it's like, if you're not doing what I'm recommending you to do, then good luck. Like you're going to pay for things on your own. You're going to do this on your own because you are an adult. And colleges will tell you that. Once your child is 18, it's hands off, from their perspective, right? But from my perspective, having a child that went to a HBCU, and like with you, I'm like, you sure you don't want, I want to dance. Okay, I got you. You were diligent with that. I saw that you could have a career in that. And you were just, amazing. And I used to tell you, if you weren't good, I'd tell you.
Yeah, we weren't good at something. You are not going to miss
you
words.
in love.
You say,
baby,
walk in your gifts.
Stay in your gift.
Yes, Megan.
And this is not it. So I think that would be my advice, would be kind of like start with prioritize what are your top 3. And then if you really want to do an HBCU, is there an HBCU that aligns more closely with that? And if it doesn't, are you willing to sacrifice the things that are missing?
Yeah. Because maybe it's that. Maybe it's if you wanted to go to HBCU so badly, like HBCUs with the best program for blah, blah, blah.
Right, right. Exactly. But I cannot lie. I've been to both. And being at an HBCU, it was top tier for me.
Yeah, I do.
Next level.
I do think about it sometimes. I'm not even gonna lie. As much as I loved my college experience. Like I had a blast. I truly had a blast, and I was on top. I didn't have too much blast where I went on top of my work. Okay.
Yeah, I appreciated that about you. You had a great balance.
Yes, but I had so much fun. But I 1000% agree with you. It is very different when you're in that environment. Like I said, I'm looking at homecomings. I'm seeing this person strolling and they're doing this and the music that's playing. I'm like, this is what
It just spoke to you.
Yes, because I'm like, I know this experience outside of like college and stuff.
Right.
Like I am familiar with this. There's like a feeling at home, and being at a PWI, like it's if you don't find your community, you can feel so other so quickly. And I felt like that for a while.
I think that speaks directly to the question Deani asked.
Yeah.
Like, that I think that could be very important for some people, finding your community.
Yes.
Because to go, especially if you're going away to school and you're away from your family, you're away from your supports, you don't have that fortitude to be able to push through. But then you got some people who can go to another country and be just fine.
And do just fine, right.
Because we forget about that. You can go to college abroad. You can go to college here. It's about doing the work to figure out what might be a best match for you. And guess what?
Research early.
Here's the good news.
What?
You go somewhere, you don't really like it, you've given it everything you got, you can go somewhere else.
Yeah, you can transfer.
Yeah.
I even do you remember when I considered it for a second? Mom,
Really?
we had that conversation. It was during homecoming. We had that conversation. I was like, Mom, I really don't know. Like, I really don't know.
I forgot about that.
And
how many years in was this?
You even encouraged me. Mom, this was my first year. You were like, Shari, you're like, I'm not saying that you need to automatically do this, but remember, you're not trapped at Kennesaw State. If you needed to transfer, you could. And I literally sat with it and thought about it. Eventually, it's like the dance program won out because that was the best. I loved that program so much. It was really beneficial.
Sometimes it's scary to me when you say, "Oh, Mom, you told me," because I don't always remember.
Like, what did I tell you?
So like, oh Lord,
hopefully she ain't say nothing crazy.
Hopefully I ain't say nothing crazy. But I will say this.
You did tell me I could.
I thought it was so cute that like you would call me pretty much every day.
Rundown. And
tell me about your day. And for other people, they might look at that and say, "Oh my gosh, she got to be able to enjoy her college life." You did. You did every bit of it.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, if you couldn't reach me, if anything, you'd be like, "Mom, where are you?" I'm like, "Girl, I got a life too."
Now I'm getting mad.
Right. But like, I just loved, you just had a wonderful balance. You had your friends. I never felt you were, if I felt like you were not embracing the college culture, I would have, I'm not saying I would have cut you off.
But you would have
but I would have checked that. I would have been like, we don't need to be talking that much because you're not this. You're not about to be sitting up in your room talking to me all day. That's not happening.
Yes.
You need to go out and XYZ. And that's exactly what you did.
Yeah.
You just happened to tell me the highlights.
Yes. But yeah, I definitely will say if you are Black and going to a PWI, make an effort to find community there, because that's when I started feeling a lot better, is when I was able to like surround myself with people who look like me and people who understood it.
Facts.
Because everything that I couldn't say and stopped saying because nobody knew what I was talking about, I could finally say it to them, and I'm like, oh, like somebody understands me and what I'm saying right now.
Sure,
like, oh my gosh, shutting up for a while, that is a lot. Like that had an impact on me.
That is another podcast for another day.
Yeah.
Like that's a whole nother type of just feeling oppressed.
No, literally, I'm
I can't say anything.
And you know me, like I'm engaging, like, let's talk, let's kiki. I love to just like cackle down
and
like,
have a great conversation.
Let's have a great conversation. And I was just like talking less because I'm like, nobody knows what I'm talking
I didn't
about.
realize you were talking less, but
even just like,
All right, I think we're gonna wrap this up. Thank you for joining us for So Tell Me This Sunday.
We'll see you next Sunday.
Bye.